Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 25th of August, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar. It's been climbing the last few days, so it's looking a bit more positive on the short-term chart, and that's pushing towards that upside target of 94.72. But we do still have downside targets hanging over us, and of course the long-term and medium-term trends are still bearish below the cloud. This is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute charts from my long-term, medium-term, and short-term views, and the corresponding point and figure chart box sizes. If we look at the euro, we see that the euro is actually rising on the long-term charts, but falling on the short-term charts. No big surprises there, but we do have a lot of upside targets, so we wouldn't be surprised to see this trend transition occurring on the short-term chart. Sterling sitting at 139.109. It's been sitting above this 130 mark for a while now. Did have a bit of a roller coaster against the dollar. It has just weakened slightly, but holding the 130 level, and of course bullish on the medium and long-term charts against that weaker dollar on the long-term charts. Looking at sterling against the euro, though, we see it's falling back. We're short-term bearish. Medium term we have been sinking away, and long term we are still bearish. So the euro has the upper hand, although we do have some short term targets back to 112, 114, so we may well just see sterling strengthen in the short term if we can get back above the cloud. Looking at Bitcoin, we're sitting at $11,500, just really been stuck around this level. Can't hold that $12,000 mark. We did nudge there in the month, but we just really can't hold it. But for the moment, we are still long-term bullish, medium-term bullish as well. The US stock market rose again last night. We saw the S&P 500 push to a clearer new all-time high, up 1%. So that's a strong performance from the S&P. The Nasdaq came back a little bit overnight. It actually did still hold up 0.75%. The Dow was up 1.4%, and we're seeing the futures today up 0.4% on the S&P future, and the Nasdaq up 0.2%. So it does suggest that the US market will open higher still. The VIX volatility is sinking lower, which of course is good for stocks, and we are just seeing that steady move. We haven't got back below the 20 level, and of course we are still much higher than we were at the start of the year, but for the moment VIX is looking quite solid for stocks. Remembering the VIX falling is good for stocks as an inverse indicator. Looking at the FTSE 100 index, this is the future. We're up this morning. The DAX cash market is up 0.5%, and the CAC Quarante is up 0.6%. So we are seeing big improvements there as well. Japan was up 1% overnight, making a new all-time high relative to the dollar, which is quite significant. Well, it's all-time 30 years. And if we look at the Hang Seng, we were down slightly there, and the Shanghai Composite was also down 0.36%. So we are just holding the gains, but not managing to go higher. These long-term targets, of course, are building. We just need a new upside target there for the Chinese market, but we are seeing a very dramatic turnaround in the picture there on the long-term chart. The Sensex in India was up very slightly. Still has work to do, of course, to get back to new all-time highs, but we're now just going above the cloud, and prices soon coming through, so India is looking better as well. And the Aussie market was up 0.5%, so that's was better too, but still a long way to go before we're making new all-time highs. Looking at gold, we're sitting at 19.21 this morning, so we've fallen back 0.5%. We are just short-term bearish here. Really waiting to see which of these targets is activated to the downside, but the chart is still incredibly bullish. And silver also holding at 26.45, pulling back from nearly where it nudged at $30, so we are just short-term bearish here as well. So precious metals not having a great time right now, but long term looking amazing, and we shouldn't be surprised to see a pullback there. The US 10-year yields actually just moved up quite substantially yesterday, putting us back into bullish territory, and that's an indication of more confidence that the virus impact is now less than feared. So that's really showing up in the 10-year bond yields, and we are just seeing that short-term move to bullish. Long and medium term, of course, we've still got work to do. Taking a look at the energy mix now, Brent crude is back above the $45 mark, still hasn't managed to get through that 45.50, and that is really the resistance level level, but we have had a pretty strong rise over the start of this week, so looking pretty good, but we are still range bound, of course. And WTI is sitting at 42.59. $43 is its resistance level, which we need to break. So we have quite strong resistance showing up here on the 1 minute point and figure chart with downside targets, so still a pretty mixed picture. US Nat Gas holding the $2.50 level. This was one of our more bullish calls this week to clients, and it's still looking like it's holding those gains. And of course, on the medium-term chart, we are seeing 9-10-month highs in Nat Gas, so that's looking really strong indeed. We're hitting these targets. It's just a case now of maybe we pull back to launch into the next upward move. Coal has had a tough time. It's down 0.75% this morning, worst performer in the energy mix, and pushing towards that $51 target that we've got there. So we're bearish on coal. Emissions have been bucking the trend. They are actually up 1% this morning, and we're pushing towards this 28.30 target that we've been giving to clients. We've got 2 targets in that area. We're just pulling back a little bit at the moment, but a move above 28, we activate that upside target of 30, and of course we've got upside targets here of 30.7, and then 36. That target has stayed in train for some time. Of course, new highs would be very bullish, but we are holding bullish above the clouds, and so emissions is looking pretty good. MBP is up this morning, so it's recovering some ground, and if we look at TTF, we are also up here this morning, but the front month contracts, of course, near coming to an end, and we see winter gas actually is also looking still good on that recovery, although it is down 0.5% this morning. German power is up 0.25% this morning. It's just above, holding above that $40.60 mark. We need to break 40.80 really, so we are still just at the top of the range, hitting resistance now, and of course we're seeing that resistance really showing up in the 1 point and figure chart. But for the moment, the recovery in power prices does look fairly assured. The medium-term chart is still bullish, and we're holding onto the trends, so it looks pretty good there for recovery as well. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.